Welcome to Pet Pals. I'm Dee Dee and this is Randy, and we're here at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center on Rosemont Avenue. And we every week bring you some adoptable animals from your local animal shelter. And we hope on this show to make some adoption matches and also to tell you about what we do. Our first guest today is Penny, and she's a busy Penny. She is a beautiful brown tabby. She is about 2 or 3 years old, and her family brought her to us because they weren't able to keep her any longer and told us that she is used to other cats and kids. So that's good to know, because if you are considering adopting a cat, their past experience doesn't guarantee what their future will be like. But a lot of times people ask us what a cat's likes and dislikes are, and we try to share all of that with you that we can. So little good Penny is, as I said, a beautiful brown tabby, but I wanted to point out how much of her coat has black tips. And the reason I point this out is because when cats get lost, people give us a description of their cat. And last year sometime, there was a woman who told us she had lost her black cat. And when she came looking for him, she said, "That looks like him." And we didn't have Penny here then, but and we explained to her, even though she has all this black markings on top of her head and on her back, we would have never found her cat. So we definitely recommend anyone who loses their cat come in person, because there can be a big difference between how you describe your cat and how we would describe your cat. So it really is, and you can send a picture and that definitely helps, but I still recommend that you come in person as often as you can to look through the cats that are here. We get 15 new animals a day. I say that all the time, but it's important to realize how quickly the shelter population changes. So if you are looking for a lost pet, the best thing you can do is just be in touch with us every day. Penny in particular is looking for a new home, and as you can see, she likes people. She likes to be scratched on the head, and she makes that known. She's quite a beautiful cat, so I think she's going to make somebody pretty happy. But we color code the cats here with their energy level as part of the criteria, so we can help you find a good match for you. Where are you going? Our next guest is Ben, and Ben is another 2 or 3 year old brown tabby cat. And as you can see, even though they're called brown tabbies, they really can be very different in appearance. Ben is a much lighter colored cat. Still has tiger stripes, still has the brown base, but it makes it very hard to identify one cat from another if you're not one of those people like Randy and I are that talk about the differences between tabbies. There's classic tabby, mackerel tabby, spangled tabby, brown tabby, gray tabby, orange tabby, cream tabby. And it gets very complicated for people trying to say, hey, I just lost my striped cat. So pictures, yeah, Randy said he doesn't care about that.
I only care about the good tabby.
Yes.
The one that sits on my lap.
So, Ben, and there's a lot of things that you could tell us about your cat if your cat's lost. Extra toes, common in cats, short tail, any interesting facts about their whiskers. Some cats' whiskers are white, some are dark. But these are all things you might not even know about your cat. You can find out from pictures that you have, or as I've said a bunch of times, just take your cell phone. If you have a smartphone, take a picture of your cat right now and save it, just in case. Hopefully you'll never need it.
You need to face camera.
Ben is just like Penny, busy, thinking about going out and about in this room. And it is nice to think about what you want in your pet before you choose, before you come and fall in love with some tall, dark stranger. That's not good for you. Think about how you picture being with your cat. Do you want a cat that will sit on your lap? Do you want a cat that won't care when you're at work? Do you want a cat that can handle your busy dog? Do you want a cat that is going to be able to be trusted outside? And I know there are some people who would say, there's no cat you can trust outside. But in Frederick County, it's not illegal for your cat to go outside with you. It is just that you must confine your cat to your own property. And since they are not stopped by fences, they do not understand political and landowner boundaries. You need to have a plan if you're even going to consider that. And of course, shelter people know all of the ways that that can go wrong. So you're going to hear a lot of caution from us about doing that, because you can't protect them from other animals. You can't protect them from weather if they don't come back in when you call. You can't protect them from wandering, from cars, from wildlife. It's just so many things that can happen. And by no means do we say that cats can't get hurt when they're inside, but it is definitely something we would talk to you about and caution you about, because there's a lot of dangers out there. Our next guest is Maggie, and Maggie is another 2 to 3 year old beautiful brown tabby. She has a lot more white markings, and as you can see, she's much more petite. And she came to us from someone who couldn't keep her. Her owner is going to have to take care of a disabled family member, and so she's going to have to change her whole life to do the right thing. She's not going to be able to keep Maggie in that plan. And a lot of times we do talk to people about animals that have ended up here in the shelter. There are estimated anywhere from 60 to 90 million dogs and anywhere from 70 to 100 million cats in the country. It's really hard to pinpoint because, you know, not all cats are registered someplace, and in the census, not everyone is polled. So the best guess they can make is this is the number of pet animals in the United States. What that means is if there are about 3 million cats and about 1 million dogs that enter shelters every year, and over half of those are saved and given a new start, that means that less than 3% of all of the cats and dogs in the country ever see the inside of the shelter. And here in Frederick, of the dogs that come in as lost dogs, 70% are reclaimed by their owners. And that's a lot of number mumbo jumbo. But what I'm trying to let you know is that it's a very small percentage of cats and dogs that ever need shelter services. And what that means is that Americans are doing a great job of taking care of their pets. The statistics are similar in Canada. And so pets in North America are pretty lucky. But there is the percent like Maggie that end up in trouble, and most people have this image in their head of some callous owner who just leaves their pet by the doorstep of the shelter and goes on to have a great life. And that's not really what happens. Sure, there are some people who irresponsibly get a pet they're unable to care for and use their tax-paying neighbors' shelter services to solve their life problems. But that's not really that common. Most are stories like Maggie's, where a pet that was much beloved belongs to someone who has a life with people who need them, with crises like there can be house fires and homelessness and loss of job, divorce. All kinds of human tragedies affect these little guys greatly, because when a human family comes apart, their pets usually pay part of that price, and they end up needing help. A lot of people find new homes for their pets on their own, but some people have an urgency to their crisis that does not allow them to do it. So Maggie is here looking for a new start, and because she is young and beautiful, I don't think that's going to be very hard for her. And as you can see, she's another confident, outgoing brown tabby. What could be bad about that? Our next guest is Marbles, and Marbles is not a brown tabby. She is a calico kitty, and what's very interesting about her markings is she's actually in between calico and tortoiseshell. So a cat that is tortoiseshell looks like Marbles does on her side, where she has black and orange all swirled together. But a calico cat has patches of solid black like she does on her face, and solid orange like she does on her neck, mixed with patches of white. So very difficult to make the call of which color she is. And we can talk a little bit about cat body language here, because she's saying something. This the way she's moving her tail, despite the fact that she wants me to pet her, the way she's moving her tail says that there's a lot of information in this room that she's gathering, and she is, I guess what you would call it is, I don't want to say it's always agitated, because she could be excited to play.
She's purring.
Yeah, and Randy says she's purring, and she certainly wants to be pet on the head, but that action of her tail says she's in a state of arousal that's above resting. So just interesting facts about cat body language. So this kitty is also 2 years old, and she came to us from a house with other cats, and so that's something that you should know about her. And the reason her family gave her up is because they said she didn't like living with the other cats. So we're going to look for a home with her where she's the only kitty. But sometimes that's not always the answer, because it could be she just didn't like those other cats. But the best thing to do for her is to find her a home where she can live with people and you know, be the queen. Most calico and tortoiseshell cats want to be the queen. So
Cool cat. Those cats were cool enough for me.
yeah, Randy says her roommates weren't cool enough for her, and you know how that can be. It's really a burden. And time to move on. So Marbles is available for adoption. If you think that she would be a good match for someone that you know, pass her picture around on your social networking sites, or go to Pet Finder and look up her profile and post it somewhere unique. And our last feline guest today is Gandalf. And Gandalf is a beautiful gray tabby with little white feet and some white marks on his face, which you can plainly see. And he is 10 years old. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge to find somebody who wants to take home a kitty who's 10. Since cats can live anywhere from 12 to 20 years, we can't tell you how long Gandalf has left, but of course that's true of any life. You never know what you're going to get. And he is going to give someone all of the benefits of his wisdom and experience, and he's a lap kitty. He came to us as a stray, so we're only guessing about his age. It's very possible that he could be 7 or 8, but when we try to estimate age of mature cats, we're going to take into account his teeth, what's the wear and tear on his teeth, so how old he looks there, but also his body condition. And so we have a vet assistant look at him and make their guess, and a veterinarian look and make a guess. So if you adopt one of our older pets, what I recommend that some people do is bring him to your vet for that first appointment without telling them the age that we estimated, and see what they say. I had a German Shepherd of my own that was estimated by 3 different vets to be 3, 5, or 7, all in the same year. So sometimes it is really a guessing game, and what will happen is when you adopt a mature cat, as they age, you end up having to decrease the age at which you got them. For example, I got a cat that was 2 from a shelter, but 18 years later he was still alive. So maybe he was only 1. It's hard to know. What we're judging by a body condition, as you know from people, is it really depends on the life you lead, how much shape you're in, whether you we were talking earlier about if you served in the military, then you're not that Gandalf served in the military, but you're going to have a more fit body type longer in life. So we just don't know his real age, but we estimate he's about 10, and we want someone to who adopts him to understand that he's a senior kitty in great shape. He has no health problems that we know of, and that he's going to make someone a great companion for all the time that he has left. So if you have seen a kitty today that interests you, or you think might make a good match for someone that you know, please share. That helps us a great deal. We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with some more adoptable animals at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center. I hope you stay with us.
Did you know that all of Frederick County's mixed recyclables go to a materials recovery facility to be sorted? For this to happen, your recyclables need to be placed into a cart or bin loose, not in bags. Trash bags are not recyclable, and materials in bags are difficult to open at the sorting center and are not accepted. The only exception to this rule are recyclable plastic bags, like grocery store bags, which do need to be gathered together inside one bag so that they don't get caught in the sorting facility's machinery. Also, shredded paper should be placed inside a paper bag or cardboard box so that it can be collected and sorted properly. Thank you for helping to make recycling work better for our community. And remember, please don't bag your mixed recyclables. More information on our recycling program can be found online, in our mobile app, or by calling our office. Recycle more, waste less.
Oh, man.
If you're concerned that there is a party taking place where there's underage drinking or drugs being used, or that you've heard that a party is going to take place, there's a tip line that you can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's 301-600-1318.
Welcome back to Pet Pals. We are still at Frederick County Animal Control and Pet Adoption Center, but we have some additional adoptable animals for you to meet by television. This is Kozik, or now Calvin. Kozik came to us as a stray, as a puppy, and he is now close to a year old, and he was adopted and named Calvin, and his family, very frustrated, brought him back because they could not house train him. Now, I have met dogs that are a challenge to house train. I have yet to meet any dog that can't be house trained unless there's, some medical disability. So I feel very confident that this is a solvable problem, but I'm gonna let you first fall in love with how absolutely beautiful this dog is. This little Yorkie is very petite, and his feet and face are red as red can be. He is just a beautiful little dog. He's good with children. He is a friendly, outgoing dog, and he is not a barker, as some tiny dogs tend to be. I'm not saying he can't bark, it's just that in the shelter when you go back and all the dogs are jumping around and barking, he is not. And so he has a lot going for him. But here's the issue. The family that took him home said that they crated him or kept him on a leash as much as they could. But in order for him to be house trained, that really needs to be a 24/7 commitment for at least 3 days. And that's not easy. I mean, people think it will be. They say, oh, what's 3 days? I'll just do it Friday through Sunday and then we'll be done. But if you think about what it would be like to be tethered to a dog 24/7, and yes, there is the crate, so you can put him in the crate while you sleep. But one of their frustrations was that, those cute little paws, is that he will urinate in the crate in the stage of house training that he's in now. Very frustrating. So if someone is interested in facing the challenge, he's certainly worth it. Smart, nice little dog. But he needs someone who is going to be attached to him for the first 3 days that he's in your house to solve this problem. He is a very naughty boy. So one of the things that has to be done is so leash to you, I really do mean that 24/7. So when he goes outside to go to the bathroom, you're with him. Raining, dark, cold, hot, matters not. You are with him, attached to him. And when he goes, he gets a reward, which here's another challenge for Calvin Kozik. And that is that he's not that motivated by food, or at least the food that his family tried with him. So the first thing you're gonna have to find out about this dog is, what does he love? Now, perhaps he loves people so much that picking him up and carrying him around is gonna be the reward. Perhaps it's a tug toy. Perhaps it's a squeaky toy, or maybe it is some kind of obstacle challenge. Who knows? But the first effort you have to make with any dog you get is to find out, what will they work for? And sometimes people say, oh, there's nothing he'll work for. Even with feral puppies, there is something they'll work for. In the case of dogs that are afraid of people, which Calvin is not, they'll work to be left alone. So if that is the thing that they want, that is the thing that you give them when they do what you want. We are back with Idella, and Idella is a boxer pit mix, beautiful brindle, and a lovely temperament. She is only 11 months old. So we are going to take 4 applications and find a good match for her. She is a very striking looking dog. A lot of people like tiger striped dogs. And at 11 months old, she hasn't learned very much yet. Some people use training methods that are all positive and can train 8-week-old puppies to sit, lie down, roll over, play dead, touch things with their paw, touch things with their nose, go through an obstacle course, and certainly it's no harder to do than teaching any age of dog, and it's kind of impressive when you see a tiny puppy able to do all of that. But normally people wait until puppies are 6 to 8 months old. She's watching people go in and out the door to do any serious kind of training. Well, there's no reason to do that. But Idella, typical of the average dog, hasn't learned very many specific things yet, except to like people. So she is going to have to start with all the puppy stuff when her body is really big. So when we first brought her up, Randy was trying to see if she knew how to sit, and she doesn't seem to know. She does not seem to know the specific to do it for a treat. So that is not going to take very long for her to figure out, because she is food motivated. So yeah, Randy just said she knows how to eat treats and want treats, so it won't take very much for her to be trained to do whatever it is you want her to do. And she's a really sweet dog. You can see her energy level. Sometimes we have 7 and 11-month-old puppies in here, and you know, Randy is just wielding them on the end of the leash. She's a good girl, and so she has a lot to offer, and she's going to make someone a great pet. And there's a wonderful thing that happened this week in the Maryland legislative session, and that is that they have passed a law that countermands the rule that pit bulls are inherently dangerous, which they're not, but because of a court opinion, that was made a legal declaration, which is not based on any kinds of fact. It is based on people's fears, which is never a good way to make laws. So what the new law says is wonderful. It says that if your dog bites someone, you're obviously responsible for that, as well you should be. And if your dog is off leash, you are not going to be able to make the claim that you didn't know your dog would do anything bad because you made the decision to have your dog off leash. So it's a really fair law. It makes all dog owners responsible for taking care of their dogs and keeping them confined and contained. And that is going to protect a lot of dogs like Idella from being singled out for trouble when there's no basis in fact for that. We are back with Bonnie and Duke. And Bonnie and Duke, we would like to adopt as a pair. So of course we're showing them to you as a pair. These two are lovely dogs, and we do have a rescue that is willing to take Duke. Apparently they knew him before in his past life, and when they found out, oh no, the rescue is for Bonnie? Yeah. Oh, okay, so apparently Bonnie was from a rescue, but they are considering taking them both together if we can't find them a home together, which I would really like to do, because they really like each other. And a lot of times we have dogs come in together that could take or leave each other, and we feel like they would be happy having their own homes. Here, sweetie, we've got a treat. For these guys, they really like each other. They lean on each other. They choose to sleep near each other. They don't have problems eating together. And so we would definitely like them to go to the same home. Now, both dogs could lose a little bit of weight, but more so for Duke than for Bonnie. Good boy. So it is something that is, it's not the same for dogs to be overweight as it is for people. And what I mean by that is that they don't have the same types of heart disease that we do. They don't have diabetes at the rate that we do and that cats do. But it's still harder on his joints to carry the extra weight. And it would just be good for him and for her to lose a little bit of weight. And so apparently they lived a pretty good life, and we would like them to be able to continue to stay together and enjoy each other's company in the future. So this is a big thing that we're asking for someone to adopt 2 dogs. But the wonderful thing about these 2 particular dogs is that they're so good with people. They love people, they love to be touched, they lean on people, they like each other, and I think they're gonna make really great pets. So, you know, 2 for the price of 1. They're house trained and they're fairly good on the leash. Obviously, if you have 2 dogs this size, you're going to want to get a leash coupler and teach them to heel so that that doesn't become a burden to you to try to walk them both at the same time, because they're going to need to have their exercise. And as you can see, we've talked about this before, the leaning in and the asking for more. So this is how you can evaluate a dog for their affinity for people, and watch what happens when we stop petting them. They make it clear that they want it, that they like it, and that if I won't do it, he'll go to Randy to get it. So it's just a great trait in dogs that want to be with people and have good dog skills. Come on, sweetie, let me get out of the way. So if you would like to have a wonderful dog ×2, please come and meet them, because you won't be disappointed. They're lovely, lovely dogs, and they have everything going for them. We are back with Diamond, who is a puppy. She is not quite a year old, and she is maybe some kind of terrier, maybe some kind of border collie. It's hard to say. She would be a dog I would be very interested in having DNA tested to find out for sure. If you have ever seen, and you can find it on the internet, Drs. Scott and Fuller did some research in the 1960s, which is still some of the best dog behavioral and genetic research that we have, where they had mixed breeds of Basenjis, Cocker Spaniels, Beagles, and Shelties, and showed the first generation progeny. And you would be shocked at what the puppies looked like. They all look like generic cute little dogs, but you would have never been able to guess their purebred parentage from looking at them. And so it is very important to know that first generation mixes often look like neither of their parents. So obviously, if she is 3rd or 4th generation, then she does start to look more and more like her parents. Diamond, are you scared? She's a little shy. So she is wanting to go elsewhere, and since she came to us as a stray, we would say probably the first task at hand when you take her home is to go through a process of 2 or 3 days where you keep her leashed to you for bonding, so she knows that you're her owner. One of the things that's hard for dogs that come to us as a stray is if they have experience with a family, of course they're waiting for that family to come get them. If they lived on a farm or more independently, then they don't really think that they need a family. And dogs that come and stay here for more than a week start to think of us as their home. This is where they get walked, where they get fed, where they sleep. So when they go to a new place, they actually miss the routine of the shelter. And for humans, that's hard to believe, because we think, oh, we would never want to live in the hospital, we would never want to live in a jail, which is how we picture the shelter. To a dog, that isn't the case at all. Where they eat and sleep and where they have friends and care is their home. So she is going to need some time to understand that you're her family when you take her home. Also, she'll need house training and crate training. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm not going to crate train my dog. And that's fine. You don't need to use a crate. Absolutely not. But if you do teach your dog how to stay calmly in a cage when asked, then you're helping her out for times that she ever has to stay at a boarding kennel, if she ever ended up in the animal shelter, or if she ever had to go to the veterinarian and be dropped off. It is a great idea to teach your dog that this is something that can happen during your life so that it's not a fearful experience for the dog. Diamond is available for adoption now because we weren't able to find her owner. And Randy reminded me when she came in that diamonds are a girl's best friend. So you can also pass around this link at the bottom of your screen of this episode of Pet Pals, and you can check out our Facebook page. Thanks for joining us on Pet Pals. I hope we see you next time. And as always, if you have pet supplies or time to donate, think about the shelter first.